Hey, how you doing? We're back. This is Mike Scordakis from Behind the Scenes, and we happen to have on the line exclusive interview with the one and only Jonathan P. Ritter. Jonathan, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Great to hear you, man. So, I know you always have some big movies.
I can hardly hear you.
You can hardly hear me? All right, let me speak.
With sort of hardly.
All right, how about this? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great.
Sure.
So tell me, what was the inspiration for the movie Reverend Davis?
Well, there's a lot of inspiration, and I'll just say up front, me to you, that I'm going to say a lot of different things and probably ramble on, so feel free to edit this and, do whatever you want to make it a little bit more concise. But in terms of the inspiration for the film, I was actually working on like a little 5-minute video that was kind of the same, documentary style, but a legit one for a nonprofit. And, the video was sort of, many years of this one project that they had been doing and the progress that they had made and all of those sorts of things. And, it was essentially, all I had to really work with was interviewing the people who were doing the nonprofit work and then splicing in some archival footage to sort of paint the bigger picture. And, in being asked to do that work and doing that work for real, I thought to myself, well, this could be like a hilarious format to do something, to do a comedy, to do something fake. So that was sort of the first thing, was the stylistic inspiration, and also, making a film in a day, lends itself to single camera stuff, interviews, stuff like that you can, shoot out and then capture pretty quickly.
Right.
And from there, it was just, okay, well, what story do I want to tell?
Right. Well, it's quite an intriguing story. I mean, it's quite a journey through this person's life, and having shot it over a period of time, there's a lot that goes on in this movie, and I hope the audience really gets an opportunity to enjoy it. It's a little bit more than the short. It's really kind of an adventure, and you always seem to have a way to put a huge story into a short time frame and do it very, very well.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you how everybody was to work with.
Everyone was phenomenal to work with. Putting that large of a story into a short film, into that short time frame. Again, I think that speaks to the style.
Right.
When you can, have a voiceover, have somebody sort of synopsize many years in like a 30-second to 60-second, time bit, and do it with, sort of manufactured fake archival footage or, staged photos of that particular period in history. You can get through a lot of material and a lot of plot points, pretty quickly without having to write like a whole scene around it.
Right.
But I think that in particular, everyone on the team was phenomenal. We had a couple of novices on our team, folks that hadn't done a whole lot of acting, that were fairly green, and excuse me. I think that served the film really well, because it was just I would go over and say, okay, this is this part of the story. This is your character.
Right.
Speak to this part of the story the way that your character would, from your character's perspective. And, it made it sound a lot more natural. I wasn't necessarily writing lines for people, with very little exception. I wasn't necessarily writing lines for people. It was just, here's the idea, talk about this from your character's perspective.
Yeah, no, I think
it came off sounding very natural.
Right.
Very real.
I think everyone did an amazing job with what they had to do. It came out very convincingly. And I know there was a lot of work that went on, during and after, everything from, sound effects later and music and, just a whole ton of work that you had to do for the film. So it was quite an endeavor to put together in the time frame that you did. But
I mean, it definitely was. I think, too, like, part of the idea was before I actually sat down and pieced everything together, I wanted to very much create the world and the things that are part of the story that we're telling,
Right.
It winds up being this thing where we've got to, for example, the main character's music career, there's probably about 90 seconds or so in the film that's devoted to that exclusively.
Right.
But we put together a whole, 3-minute song.
Right.
And shot enough material to actually put together like a full music video for that, and, staged, enough photos of, concerts and magazines and those sorts of different things to actually account for, a multi-year music career.
Right. So, little
to create that element of, reality to it when, you're pulling from something that exists as opposed to just like, trying to create just a small piece of something that's really bigger than that.
Right, and probably the audience doesn't know this, but Jonathan and I collaborated and we wrote a song called "Highway to Heaven."
Highway to Heaven, indeed.
Yes.
Actually inspired by the shooting day.
That's right.
When Michael sang the word "Highway to Heaven" during the staged rehearsal session.
Yeah. So I went back and wrote a whole song, "Highway to Heaven" and "Bobblehead Jesus," and if you're lucky, maybe you guys get to hear that separately. And it makes a cameo it makes part of the film there. So if you guys come out and see that and enjoy that, the location was interesting because we had an entire church to work with. Was there? Can you tell us how that worked out?
Well, first off, there's a lot of things. Just knowing we were going to shoot at the church, even before I had the idea for the film or how I was going to lay it out, I knew that I wanted to do something that related to, excuse me, that related to the church or religion in some way. So I remember calling you before I had any idea and saying, like, all right, if you're going to be on my team, buy a priest or a reverend's outfit.
That's right.
And it was October, so those were available at your corner Halloween store.
That's right.
Pretty easily, because I knew that no matter what we actually wound up doing, there was going to be the holy man, the reverend character.
I was going to be a priest.
That's scary. We shot at the church before, about actually in I think June 2014.
Right.
We shot something at the church, and I didn't really know the location very well, so I had this idea in my head, and we kind of had one piece that was in the sanctuary because I knew it was going to be in the church, but I didn't really know, how many different types of locations there were and how many different lookings there were in that church.
Right.
So coming into this one, I had more of an idea of that, and we had scenes that took place in, their game room, or their sort of like teen hangout room. We made that the band's rehearsal space, and then we had like a meeting room, and then we had the outside, and then the what do you call it, the actual church part itself.
Right. Yeah, we used the actual the main church with the pews and the podium, which was kind of daunting from my perspective because, I was portraying a priest who was saying a lot of things that probably shouldn't be said in a church. And I had people in the audience, which added to it. So yeah, it was very interesting and fun. I mean, I don't know if you guys will get that when you see the film, but it was definitely an interesting moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other element that the church played in it is that, and the reason I knew I was going to have a reverend character in there for sure, one way or another, was that I really wanted to do something that spoke to sort of this. I mean, I do comedies and they're goofy and all of that, but I kind of try to make a point to do goofy comedies that actually do have some sort of meaning and substance to them, as opposed to just
right.
your average kind of comedy. So I wanted to do something that spoke to this sort of ideal of perfection that religion purports and then puts out,
right?
Versus what we as human beings are capable of, with all of our imperfections and flaws and all of that, and do that in a way that was satirical and funny, but still sort of somewhat meaningful and poignant at the same time. And I really do think that we accomplished that.
Yeah, and I think all your movies have kind of that slant on them. Is that it's always a social message, or there's always a slamming together of two ideologies or something. But you always get something out of a Jonathan Ritter film, and that's in of itself, it's always a treat. And it's always an event to be on. Is there a special moment in the film, either creatively or story-wise, that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I think that my personal favorite moments in all of my films sort of stem from things that just sort of happen genuinely, without necessarily my manipulation. I'm sorry. We had a couple of montages of sermons that the Reverend was giving, and one was the Reverend trying to appeal to the youth, to reach out to the youth, and the other one was the Reverend suffering with various mental health issues. And we just shot so many different kind of ideas for those two things, and again, it was very much improv. It was, okay, here's the idea, go ahead and go.
Right.
And I was kind of limited just by the time frame of how much we could include in that, and it was really difficult to narrow that down to like the best three sort of moments.
Right.
So there was definitely a lot of those clips that stand out to me.
Creatively, what was the most? I mean, technically or creatively, what was the most challenging part to put together?
The most challenging parts. I think what it was, and we sort of solved a lot of this with, we did a second sort of short pickup day, and we got some stills and some other random things. But I think the most challenging part was taking these sort of ideas that different actors are putting out. Again, they were speaking to the story from their characters, right?
Right.
So actually finding those moments that just keep the narrative going, and putting it together in a way that really created a strong narrative was a bit of a challenge. But again, it was something that we solved pretty simply.
Right.
I wrote some voiceover pieces for a narrator, and we staged a couple of photographs to sort of quickly get through these pieces of narrative and get back to the humanity of the piece.
Right.
From there.
Hey, so one last question. You always seem to have a film or two in the works, or an idea for a film, or something you're editing or getting ready to put together. Do you have anything you want to share with us at this time?
Well, I'll tell you that since January, I've participated in 2 more MMTV Make a Film in a Day challenges, and I've just finished up kind of the bulk of editing of those. There's a couple of other small things that I want to tweak, but the bulk of those are done.
Okay.
So at this point, really what I'm doing is there's a couple of other projects that I'm not necessarily going to be at the helm of, that I'm I'm helping other people with that I'm really, really excited about.
Great.
And then my two big projects that are very much in the genesis. Forgive my my religious pun there. They're still in the genesis of their creative phase. Is I want to do I want to do a horror movie with no fake blood.
Okay.
Right? And then there's a comedy that I want to do, which is about an actor who's been playing the same role for more than 20 years. Suddenly, decides that he wants to stop that role and start branching out into something else. So it's a comedy about this actor's attempt to move away from this, television superhero kind of, surface level character into like actual proper acting and a lot of the challenges that actor faces in doing that.
Sounds interesting.
That one's going to be called Dr. Hero.
All right, we'll look forward to that.
Look forward for Dr. Hero.
Look forward to Dr. Hero coming soon. Hey, Jonathan, that wraps it up. Quite an interview. Thank you so much for being my second guest. I know we have the most best lighting here, but I swear I'm going to get a table here soon. And I want to thank you so much for being my second guest on Behind the Scenes with Mike Scordakis. And we'll see you, when will we see you? We're going to see you next weekend, right?
I will see you next weekend. It will be a wonderful, wonderful screening day.
And congratulations for Little Wing being accepted and shown at the I Hella Love Shorts Festival in Oakland.
Yes.
That was
fantastic festival.
It got a huge response. And I understand you possibly have something submitted to the Sacramento Film Festival. So hopefully we'll hear more about that.
Indeed.
Fantastic. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. We'll see you guys soon. Look forward to the trailer. Hey, welcome back to Cooking with Jesus.
He was a good man, and I loved him.
He tried to be everything to everyone, and along that road, he discovered himself.
He just made such a big difference in my life, and he's just gonna stay here.
Very talented guy, very honest guy, very caring person.
If Jesus hadn't broken the law, if Martin Luther hadn't defied authority, this church would not be here today.